So this could well be the season you are thinking about finally changing your golf clubs. This is around the time of year that a lot of people do, and today we're talking about fairway woods and what to look out for when you are potentially making the move and spending some money. Now you might see here, eagle-eyed viewers will see that this is an old Cobra fairway wood, and it's not the current one. It's not the one that's just been replaced. It's a couple of years old in the rad speed, and that's one of the first real tips that I want to give you guys about buying fairway woods. With new drivers and things, you will start to see progressive ball speeds, you'll start to see new stories, new marketing ideas, but really often I see with fairway woods, the brands just kind of continue the story on throughout the fairway wood. So you're not going to get the benefit potentially of the new big hero story from the driver in your fairway woods, so why go and spend big money on them? I would separate that money, maybe look at the driver if that's what you're wanting, and if you are wanting to gain club head speed and ball speed off the tee. But for a fairway wood, I often quite like the older ones, because when you find one that you like, it's not a club you're going to change as often as maybe your driver or your irons, or if you like me, your putter, which I seem to be changing quite a lot at the moment. But go and check out the second-hand market. Fittings are important with every club in the bag. I would never say that fittings aren't important, but for me, I think a fairway wood, you can sort of just know what you're looking for. So the first factor obviously is price. We've discussed that in the second-hand market and maybe not getting the latest and greatest, but also what size head do you want? This isn't a conversation we get to have when it comes to drivers, because drivers pretty much are mainly 460cc unless you opt for a mini driver or maybe even kind of a 420cc smaller compacted head, of which we don't see that many of. Maybe the Titleist TSR4, which, let's be fair, not many people are using. But this is a much bigger sized head 3 wood, and this is because I like using it off the tee. You'll see it's called the Big Tour actually, and that is because it's a slightly bigger head, and it's not quite a driver head, and it's still the same length shaft, but it is designed for shots like this, where I know I want to hit a nice fairway wood down there. I haven't really got the confidence to hit driver, to be honest, but it looks really nice down there, and I know I can just hit nice safe shots like that one. So that's the first option that I'm thinking about when looking at a fairway wood. When am I going to want to use it? Is it for some problematic holes at my home golf course? Is it for these par 4s that I know I don't need to hit driver on, but I want to be able to get down there as far as I can? Or is it just to put in the bag because you know that you want your bag full and you know you want a 3 wood? Otherwise, if you are looking for a club off the fairway, then we can have a totally different discussion, which Chris is going to have in just a second's time, because Chris is a fairway wood veteran and he knows how to dig out a deal for a club that could go between 180 and 200 yards, because it makes golf a lot easier from that distance. So is it a fairway wood? Is it off the tee replacement? And how much do you want to spend? They're 3 factors for me which are vitally important when looking for a fairway wood. Now let's talk about that pesky 200 yard distance with potentially a 5 wood, a 7 wood, or even a 9 wood.
So guys, when you're thinking about fairway woods, for me, one club I've had in my bag for many a years now, I've only just replaced it with a newer one, but was the G10 7 wood. So a 7 wood for me is something that a lot of people can use. A lot of tour players are starting to use it, and a lot of amateurs did use it, but it disappeared for a while. There's even players now on tour using a 9 wood. And the reason is if you've got that 200 yard shot and you're normally thinking, well, you know, it's a long iron, I don't feel comfortable with a long iron, I've got a driving iron, but that's not going to stay on the green, then this gives you other options. So thinking about, right, can I get a fairway wood that's going to launch higher, that's a lot easier to hit than a 4 iron, than a 5 iron, than a 3 iron, than a hybrid, then that's the kind of club that you want to think about getting in your bag. Then you have to think, like James mentioned, right, how does it look down behind the golf ball? I've got 2 fairway woods in my bag. I have a 5 wood, which has a smaller profile head, and the 7 wood has a bigger profile head. So something a little bit bigger, I feel a little bit more confident with it. And with the 7 wood, I feel like I can do a lot of things. I can take a little bit of speed out of it. I can play different shots with it to get it to go different distances. And this is where something like this on a fairway to a par 4, you want to have a club that you can manipulate a little bit. Yes, this is the Big Tour 3 wood, but even with this, you want a club that looks down behind the golf ball, that gives you confidence that you go, okay, I want to try and play this 3 wood high. I'm going to get a little bit further forwards in my stance. I'm going to let the club do the work. And you can see that's launched nice and high, and that's fading back towards the left-hand side of the green. And that's what you want to look at down behind the golf ball. You want clubs that you feel like you can do a lot with. Yes, this is a large head on a fairway wood, but you've got to think about it. What is it needed for? Are you hitting it more off the fairways or out of the rough, or are you using it more off the tee? You can see behind that golf ball, that will fill you with a lot of confidence. It's nice and big. We're going to get the forgiveness from that head size, and that's where you want to think about it. But go through your golf bag, start to get your gap in. You might have a new driver. You want to then think, where do you go from your driver? If you're comfortable with your driver, you might not think, well, I don't really hit a 3-wood much. I maybe only hit it once in a round, and that's if I've hit a bad drive. Do you then need something like a 4-wood? Or do you need to go down to a 5-wood, then have a 7-wood in? There's plenty of options, but you need to go through that in a fitting. Don't just go for the traditional, well, I bought a driver, so I best get a 3-wood and I best get a 5-wood, because that's what everybody does.
One thing you see as well, people try and match the 3-wood shaft with the driver shaft, and that's the most ridiculous thing ever, because you're looking for a totally different ball flight with your 3-wood than you are your driver.
Exactly, so go for a fitting, just feel like, right, whatever shaft works in that is what you need. It doesn't have to match perfectly, they don't have to look uniform through your bag, because they're going to have different characteristics when you are putting a different size head on there. So get something that you're comfortable with, get a nice shape behind that, get the right shaft, but think about what options do you need. Do you need a 3-wood and a 5-wood? Do you need a 4-wood and a 7-wood to help you get good at golf?
Delightful. Maybe that's going in your bag.
I do thoroughly enjoy that. It doesn't always have to be new.